Some countries have expressed a desire to move away from the Privy Council as the final court of appeal in the region. The notion is that if most countries in the Caribbean are independent, sovereign states, and in some cases the independence has gone as far as removing the Queen as head of state and having a president as head of state instead, since we are sovereign countries, we should have our own final court of appeal. And thus the idea for the Caribbean Court of Justice came about. This is the symbol of the CCJ. It's a circle within another circle. Between the circles there's a band that is blue. It has the words Caribbean Court of Justice. On the inside you see the weights, the scales that are used to represent justice and CJ. The CCJ is based in Port of Spain, Trinidad, and it was inaugurated in 2005. It was created with the Single Market and Economy with CSME, and CSME allowed citizens of CARICOM countries to travel and to move their goods in any CARICOM state. Why was it so important to have a CCJ with the establishment of CSME? CARICOM is a multilateral agreement among several Caribbean countries, just about all Caribbean countries, that led to a certain level of economic integration and functional cooperation in the region. CARICOM has different institutions that are attached to and supported by the members, and there is also some form of economic integration that has occurred among members of CARICOM. Naturally, once you have countries engaging in a multilateral agreement, there are going to be disputes that come about, queries that are raised, and so the CCJ, the Caribbean Court of Justice, was made to rule on these disputes. Secondly, the CCJ was established to resolve issues that may be created through the implementation of CSME. 2005, the same year that the CCJ was inaugurated, same year that the Caribbean Single Market and Economy was included or introduced to CARICOM. With CSME, individuals were made to have freedom of movement within the region. Capital could also be moved freely through the region and other resources. Naturally, that is going to cause issues or disputes throughout the region as certain cases arise when it comes to the establishment of businesses, when it comes to perhaps taxation, use of resources, and so forth. And so the CCJ was set up to help resolve these issues. And thirdly, it was set up to replace the Privy Council as the final court of appeal for criminal and civil cases for the Caribbean region. So these are the three main roles of the CCJ. As of now, there are 4 countries that have signed on to the Caribbean Court of Justice and have it as the final court of justice. Those 4 countries are Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and Guyana. While several other CARICOM members have signed on to the CCJ, the rest of CARICOM members have not yet fully moved to have the CCJ as their final court of appeal. Here are some important legal officials that we have been hearing about throughout this presentation, and this section now will just aims to clarify any questions that you may have had about the nature of the jobs of the people in these positions. So one is the Attorney General. The Attorney General is the government's legal advisor. This is the person who gives advice to the government on legal action that can be taken when it comes to matters that have to do with the law. The Chief Justice is another one. We saw the Chief Justice in the Court of Appeal, and this person, he's the justice who presides over the Court of Appeal. He also holds an office in the High Court, but since we know that the Court of Appeal has more power than the High Court, his or her highest standing would be as the presiding judge over the Court of Appeal. Thirdly, there's the Director of Public Prosecution, or the DPP. That person is the head of a department who gives the police legal advice on serious cases. when a law of the state is made that is seen as a criminal offense. A criminal offense is an offense committed against the state. And so the DPP is the one, the Director of Public Prosecution. He's the one who gives the police legal advice on these criminal cases. The state has a Director of Public Prosecution who is going to guide the police force in dealing with these criminal matters. In case you needed a visual, here is a chart that shows the hierarchy in the structure of the court system in the Caribbean. All the way to the bottom, we have the Magistrate Court. That is our court for petty civil offenses, also called the Petty Court. That is the court where civil offenses up to a certain amount are held. Granting of licenses is also done there. Payments from fathers to children also go to the Magistrate's Court. Those are some examples. Next to it, we have the High Court. The High Court is a superior court. Criminal cases are dealt with in the High Court. Civil cases in excess of a certain amount are brought to the High Court. A case from either the Magistrate's Court or the High Court, if a party does not agree with the decision of the magistrate or the High Court judge, then that party can appeal, and that case could be taken to the Court of Appeal, where that decision can be upheld. That is, it can be kept the same, it can be changed, so it can be tweaked, or it can be completely reversed. If then a party decides that they still do not agree with the decision of the Court of Appeal, a request is made to the Judicial Committee, and the Judicial Committee could then give permission for the case to be taken to the Privy Council for those countries that still have the Privy Council as the final court of appeal, or to the Caribbean Court of Justice for those 4 countries that we mentioned who have signed on to having the CCJ as their final court of appeal. That is a summary of the courts, the major courts that you would find in the Caribbean. We saw the industrial court, but that court deals with matters between employers and employees on its own. And like I said, not all Caribbean countries have an industrial court, so it's kept out of the structure. When it comes to criminal and civil laws, these are the courts in the Caribbean that form the court system.